Orlando.
Welcome to the OZone.
Welcome to the OZone.
Welcome to the OZone.
Welcome to the OZone.
The voice of Magic fans.
Welcome back to another episode of the OZone podcast, the voice of Magic fans. Episode 5, we got a full studio. Mark is joining us today.
How's
Welcome
it going,
back,
fellas?
boys.
How's it going?
What's going on,
What's
fellas?
going on, Mark? What's going on? Al, you had a busy week.
I did.
busy weekend?
I was on vacation this week from work in a last-minute unplanned trip to San Francisco, which was really nice. Just getting back last night at midnight. Told my wife I cannot miss the podcast. So I'm here today, but had a great time out there. A lot of good food out there. Weather was beautiful.
Oh, man.
Just excited to be back with you guys.
Did you go to a Golden State game?
What?
Go to the Golden State game.
I did not, but
You
I did
didn't
go
betray us, right?
I did go to the new arena, man, and that place is beautiful. So Chase Center, I want to go back to a game. As you guys know, I'm a huge Steph Curry fan. But
Ooh.
come on, man.
Be careful.
Yeah. But the arena's beautiful, though. So I definitely want to go back and catch a game out there.
Okay, yeah, that's cool. And you were just out there for like business?
Yeah, so my wife got a last-minute trip.
okay.
Was not planned. And I'm like, listen, pack our bags and go. And we did that,
Wow.
and it was unplanned, last minute, and we like it like that. So that worked out really well.
That sounds.
Now, what ended up happening is he knew that I went to Chicago. He was like, nah, I got
There
to
you go.
up and one time to San Francisco. He saw us all drowning in the snow and decided to go over with the palm trees and
There you go.
good weather.
The weather there was beautiful, though. I think it was 60 degrees the entire time. It was just amazing, man. Sunny every single day. So, yeah, not to take anything away from Orlando, though. This is the place to be, but
Yes.
It's too late. You made me jealous.
Yeah,
you
right.
got to go. You got to go now.
Yeah.
Yeah, but Justin, you're going to a concert tonight, right?
I am. Anybody who knows me knows I'm a huge Sarah Bareilles fan.
Who?
Sarah Bareilles. And yeah, so I'm going to her show tonight at the Amway Center. I'm super excited. If anybody is there, you will see me probably cry. You know.
Do you plan on losing your voice tonight?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I'll be singing along passionately, you know, but I'm excited.
I need some videos from that tonight. If
Oh, I
you don't
got
mind.
you.
Nah,
But-
keep those. All right, guys. So let's get right into it. Let's go through the numbers. So, currently the Magic after this past week, our record is 6-9. Seed in the East is in 8th. Seed in the Southeast, we're looking at 2nd, but we were previously 3rd. So it looks like we went up one there. So offense, points per game, we're sitting at 102.9, 29th in the league. 3-point percentage, 31.3. We're still sitting at 30th. So we took a win against Washington where Markel had a career night. He broke his career best at 19. A loss against Toronto where Vucevic and Gordon both got injured within a 3-minute span, and then a loss last night in Indiana. But Isaac had a career night with 25 points, 9 rebounds. So what do you guys think about the games? What did you like? What didn't you like?
Yeah, so it was a busy week for us this week between the news of the injuries and then, of course, on the court as well. The Washington game, to me, stands out the most. I know that's the only one we won this week, but that was a really fun game. I know, Mark, you were there at the arena.
Yes.
I was there as well. That was a really fun game.
Really fun game. Real exciting.
That fourth quarter, I know we lost the lead. Washington seemed like every three-pointer that they just threw out there. But that was a fun game. Markel with the steal at the end, the crazy dunk to secure the win for us.
I jumped right out of my seat.
Oh,
after
me
that
too.
dunk.
I was
That
jumping up
crazy.
and down, screaming. That was a really, really good win. And then, unfortunately, after that, things kind of went south. So Toronto happened. We lost that game. We lost Vucevic. We lost Gordon in that game. And Indy, again, like you said, and it was a tough loss last night. We had that game. Felt like just one rebound away, one quality shot away from securing that win in Indy last night. But, again, looking at positive things always, right? Markel showed out this week. Amazing performances. Career night against Washington. And then, again, follow that up with Isaac having a career night last night. So, tough week, but understandable. We are short-handed out there right now.
So I think during that Washington game, obviously, like Bradley Beal is a monster. It doesn't matter what defensive scheme you run against him. He's going to show out. And I think he kind of showed that to us.
Until the fourth quarter, I think we had a lot of ground.
He went off in the fourth.
Yeah.
Yeah, he went off in the fourth, but I feel like that was also the time where he kind of felt like he had to win the game, and he put it on his back, and he almost got it done. Markelle, like you said, showed out. Oof. I love Markelle's energy. I think just even when he's not scoring, and I think we've seen it during this week, even when he's not scoring, he impacts the game because he brings good energy. And I think that energy kind of pushes people to get involved and work harder. So I think he has like that contagiousness about his personality and his enthusiasm for the game.
Yeah.
During that loss to Toronto, it kind of felt like, yes, AG and Vucevic, their injuries are hard injuries for our team because Vuce is the best player on the team. But I think it allows for, a lot of the other guys to kind of develop and have an opportunity. A lot of us, for example, have been like criticizing Bamba, and I think now with Vuce not playing, it's going to open the door a little bit for him to kind of take that step forward and for us to be able to really analyze if he's going to be, somebody who can be on the team for a while. So I think it was kind of like a gift and a curse in a way. But Toronto also showed how good they are. I think a lot of people slept on them now that Kawhi left and whatnot. But they showed that they are still a threat without Kawhi.
They didn't even have Laurie or Ibaka that night either.
Yeah.
They're a pretty deep team.
And their young guys like really stepped up.
They're young
as well.
guys, man. I know I said in the group chat to you guys, but those young guys are picking up from the G League.
Yeah.
They're all just playing incredible. Like, anybody they throw out there is just balling.
Terrence Davis, 19 points off the bench against us.
What's the other guy?
Chris
backup
Boucher.
My goodness.
Double-double
He
off the
ate
bench.
Bamba alive, by the way, on the boards. Like, he was just, whenever he wanted a rebound, like nothing.
He was their energizer bunny for sure.
Yeah, and then lastly for that Indiana game, it felt like Jonathan Isaac and Fournier were kind of like the two guys that, were trying to keep us alive in a way. And sadly, it didn't come through at the end. We kept it close the whole time. We were probably one play away.
We were.
And whether it was a bad call by the coach or, Indiana just had a better defensive scheme, but we ended up on the short side of that game as well.
Yeah, I agree. To bounce back to that Wizards game, I thought the Wizards games was our best offensive game all year. Vucevic scored 30 points, 17 rebounds for us. Fultz, like we said, had his career high 19 points. And Fournier, which is Justin's favorite Magic player on the team, had 25 points. Almost had a double-double, 9 assists.
Yeah.
I thought that was a great game. Yes, 9 assists. He got teammates involved.
That's the stat of the week
and then,
right there.
of course, if anybody didn't see SportsCenter, Fultz was on SportsCenter for, I believe, 2 of his highlight plays, including that one dunk that sealed the game for us.
On NBA.com, too, he was. He had 2 plays in the top 10 as well.
That was finally big time. That was finally nice to see that he's getting his recognition there. As far as that Toronto game, I'm not too discouraged about that game. I thought we played really well up until the fourth quarter. After Gordon and Vuce went down, we kept battling. We kept battling really hard. Like we said earlier, Terrence Davis, Chris Boucher, those guys really killed us. We knew Van Fleet was gonna have a big game. That wasn't really our concern. But those guys off the bench, when we had our bench players and they had their bench players, they clearly pretty much beat us that game.
That was a game right there.
And then that Indiana game too was a tough loss. I really thought we could have beat that game. Like I said, guys, that Gordon and Vuce going down, I'm not discouraged about this team at all. We're still battling. These games are still close up until the end. Isaac had a career night, 25 points, 9 rebounds. So I'm happy with him. And then 8 3-pointers in the third quarter really stood out to me last game as well.
Yeah.
I know we took the loss, but there's some encouraging signs I believe that we can keep carrying forward with.
For me, the Washington game was a big game. Like, I enjoyed watching that game just as a fan. Watching Markelle break out was, to me, a really, really big deal. That was that same night. I ended up clipping a video of Markelle and his big play at the end with Celine Dion, right there in the background. And it was just one of those moments. It was like a defining moment for him that I think for him as a player he needed just for that boost of confidence.
Right.
We had made a wager early on in the season that he was going to score his 20 points before December, right, more or less. Or I think you said that was before December.
Yeah.
One or two. So the fact that he was still close, and we're at the point that, now he's started 10 consecutive games, and we're at the point where he's reaching the 18 to 19 point range, I think is a really big part, and it shows his development, his growth, and then him being comfortable with the team and the plays that are being not necessarily run for him, but him being able to play with his teammates. So that was a big game for me. Toronto, I am starting to not like Toronto at all. Like every season you have that one team that you just don't like. Toronto is that team. Fred VanVleet is being that guy that I'm starting not to like. That's really just starting to annoy me. But it's because he does so well, and for his size, it shows how good of a player that he is. But Pascal Siakam, he had an okay game. He only scored 18 points. So I thought defensively we did a good job on him.
Isaac did a great job on him.
Isaac did a really good job, absolutely. And then for the Indiana game, or excuse me, for before we get to the Indiana, Toronto losing both Vucevic and Gordon in a 3-minute span, I thought is a massive deal, because that's really going to change the dynamic of our team, right? So it goes from running every single play for Nikola Vucevic to now Vucevic forces our team to play a half-court game, right? He slows us down. We don't expect him to run up and down the floor to play offense and defense in a fast pace. And we're not expecting him to be the second, the third, the fourth man in the fast break. But we are effective in that gameplay. Now, with him being out, it gives us an opportunity to really show how athletic and how long we really are, because now it's go time. You get the ball, you start running, you get down to the floor. Right. So I think that could be one of the major pros for them going down, and that also gives the opportunity for guys like Jonathan Isaac to step up, which I felt he really did and showcased it in Indiana. And I don't think we see a 25-point game from Jonathan Isaac unless he knows for a fact, like, these guys are out. It's a big offensive.
The guy.
I got to step up. Yeah.
He has to step up. And there's times when I was watching the game, and you really see that. Like, you see him being way more aggressive than what I'm used to seeing from Jonathan Isaac. And he's really taking the ball. He's taking his, he's aggressively taking the mid-range shot.
Right.
There was a play that he had where he had a defensive stop on one end, and he didn't pass the ball. He took the ball, grabbed the rebound from the block that he did, took it down court, made a quick little step in the paint, and did a turnaround, pump fake, and easy basket. So you're really seeing his game really come together that I enjoyed a lot.
Yeah, so I agree. I think like with Vooch and AG gone, it does allow Isaac to kind of be one of the primary scorers on the team. And it's awesome to see that he's willing to take that, in stride and actually work toward becoming that. And just referencing back to what you were saying, how you're starting to, dislike Toronto and Fred VanVleet and whatnot. I think I'm always down to watch Orlando versus Toronto, because it feels like Toronto brings out, for the most part, the best version of Orlando. And sadly, we just fall short. But when you look at ball movement, when you look at rotation, when you look at the pace that Orlando plays with when they play Toronto, it's usually higher than against other teams. And I think that kind of goes back to Orlando always playing to the level of their competition, not so their own potential. So when they play a team as good as Toronto, they show out.
What I find interesting is that last year we beat Toronto, I think it was 2 or 3 times, with Kawhi on the team before the playoffs, the regular season. And this year it feels like we cannot beat them at all, even when they don't have Lowry, when they don't have Ibaka playing. So it's just, I find that interesting how last year we matched up. Yeah, and we have the same team, and they have the same team pretty much. So I find that kind of funny how we cannot get over the hump against them anymore. Might be mental. We lost so badly in the playoffs, and now we're kind of overthinking when we're out there. Because we matched up really well with them last year.
But it could also be that some of their role players last year got better.
That's true.
Fred VanVleet playing really well.
Yeah, Fred VanVleet, he's becoming, like, you can see him being a primary scoring option at some point in the near future. Pascal Siakam as well. So.
And then they also had a player that was injured that they weren't able to utilize last year, OG Anunoby.
Oh, yeah.
So he's a big part for him.
Yeah.
I still feel when we play them, it still feels like a playoff.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Absolutely, from both sides. So, really good games. Wins or losses, they say that, I read someone, I can't remember who it was, but they had said that, when you have playoff aspirations, there's no such thing as a moral victory. I disagree with that, because I feel like for certain players, it's a moral victory. And I think Jonathan Isaac and Markelle Fultz, did receive those moral victories, even though we did lose, because it's all about confidence for them. And I think these last games were able to do that. Now, can they maintain that when we get our rest of our players back? I think that's one thing to really watch for. But let's get to the juice, because there's a lot of things that happened this past week. We touched on it a little bit, but get right back to it. So Vucevic is out due to an injury, at least 4 weeks. And then we have Gordon and MCW out for an undetermined amount of time. So how do you guys feel about the 3 injuries? How does it impact our team, and what will be missed the most?
I think Vucevic's injury is probably the most significant because he is our most consistent scorer. And I think with Vuce being injured, it is going to, kind of referencing the point you made earlier, it is going to allow other guys to kind of step up and show out. But it is also going to make the fan base, ownership, everybody kind of recognize how big of a role and how important Vucevic is to our offense. Because with Vuce, we're not going to set the highest pace in the league. And it's going to force us to play the half-court game a lot. But he is a guy who's consistently going to put up about 20 points. And he is getting, nabbing, 15 rebounds a game. And he is going to have a couple of defensive stops. His defense is getting better. So, I don't know. I think he is a big loss. Aaron Gordon's injury is a little bit strange because he's had ankle injuries previously. And he made it a point to say that this was one of the worst ones he's had. And you know your body better than anybody else. So if you felt that, I think that is cause for concern, especially a guy that's as explosive and kind of works off his jump, as much as AG does. So I'm a little concerned there, but I'm not sure how much his loss is going to impact the game, because I do think Aminu is a good option to play in for him. And Aminu, if he can have starters minutes, is going to impact, and we've seen that in the last couple of games. When he has starters minutes, he impacts the game at a pretty high level. So
are you surprised that Coach Cliff didn't insert Aminu in the starting lineup and decided to go with Wesley Iwundu?
Yes, I am surprised because as much as I was vouching for Iwundu to have minutes, it's a bit strange to go from not playing at all to being a starter.
Yeah, same thing with me. I found it kind of strange. I expected to see Amin in the starting lineup for 2 reasons: the length that he adds, and he's a more proven shooter than Iwundu is at this point in his career. So we need offense, right? We need to get some points out there. So I kind of just wanted to see that change. Unfortunately, it didn't happen. But I mean, let's see how Iwundu does. I'm looking forward to him getting a chance and see what he can do out there.
No, I agree. I don't really mind a Wanda move, just because that gives us, a backup big man. I could sub Isaac out the game, or Birch. I don't really mind that move so much. Like you said, we're going to need Aminu to step up, as he's proven before. He is coming from a playoff contending team where he started relatively every game. And Iwundu, I don't think we're asking so much for him. Just go in there, hustle, and just knock down shots, open shots.
One thing I will say on the injuries news is Gordon was going to take some shots tonight. And he said he actually may try to play tomorrow in Detroit. So it may seem that he may be out. I don't think he'll play tomorrow, just my personal opinion. But he might be back by Wednesday in Cleveland, which that I'm excited for. I do want to see Gordon, Isaac, and Fultz kind of just go out there with Fournier and just ball out. Mm-hmm. The pace last night against Indiana was fun. I watched pieces. I was flying back last night. I watched pieces of the game, the highlights. Everything I saw with the Magic in the third and fourth quarter when they really started playing well, it was Fultz sprinting, Augustine running. That I'm really ready to see a little bit while we get Vooch back. But I want to see Gordon in that same group as well.
Right. So I agree that he may play, just based on the reports and whatnot.
I don't think you should.
But
yeah, I agree. I don't think you should. Give it about
another
game.
But it's not necessarily about him being on the court. It's about how he's feeling on the court and how his body's holding up. Because you could play on the court, but if your ankle is still bugging you, or there is some type of issue or damage, you're not going to be as explosive as you typically are. And we see what Aaron Gordon does typically, and he's not a primary option when he's 100%, So with him having this injury and coming back at maybe 70-80%, you have to believe that he's not going to be, that much of a primary option.
I think for me, obviously, you don't want any of your key players to get hurt, but I'm okay with it. I'm okay with it because this is why we have a deep team. This is why you have players that can step up in the role and still be effective and be a big part. If the injuries occur and the benefits are that the Jonathan Isaac can play at the level that he's playing, then okay. Now, my fear is not necessarily fear, but my concern is, okay, so now what happens when you do get the Vucevic back? You do get, Aaron Gordon back. Because what I see a lot is we utilize Vuce with the high pick and roll pretty often with Evan Fournier. What I saw a lot last night is, the pick and roll was still there, but the roll was to a Kem Birch who is receiving the ball either, not close to the basket, so he's not effective in that position. So how are you really still utilizing the high pick and roll? How effective is it? Are people really going to cheat on the Vooch and then leaving Evan Fournier open? So I would have liked to see a different scheme playing. But all in all, I think that with the injuries, it's only going to, right now, it may not look like it because there's a big offense missing, but I think it's going to impact our team in a very, very good light. So let's move on to the next one. Fultz and Isaac set new career high in points. Fultz with 19 points against the Washington Wizards, and Isaac with 25 points last night against Indiana.
Man, I think we can definitely start to see the future of the Magic, if you want to call it that. I really believe that's what the future of the Magic is. I really think Gordon, while he's a great player, I don't think he has the potential that Isaac has. And of course, we know Fultz. He came into the NBA being the first pick in the draft. Yeah, he got hurt. But we can see those glimpses of greatness from him coming out right now. We saw him playing 28 minutes last night, which is the most he's played so far for us. So I'm hoping that's increasing over the next few weeks. But again, he's always leading the team in plus and minus. That tells you he's making an impact out there. Number two, Isaac, I mean, this injury, the first thing that I thought about when it came out that Vucevic was going to be out for 4 weeks is this is his time to shine, especially while Gordon is also out. It's like you have to take somebody has to take the shots. He'll be that person. And we saw what he did last night, 25 points, 9 rebounds, 4 assists, 2 blocks. I mean, this kid has all the tools to be an amazing player. We need that great future thinking leader or star player. I think we're seeing him right now wearing number 1 for the Magic.
Yes, I can't agree anymore with you. I'm really happy with his Fultz progression. His confidence and his aggression is what really sticks out to me. He's just going out there and he's just doing it. I believe that Wizards game, Isaiah Thomas left them open, wide open for 2 threes, and without hesitation, he made his first 2 threes.
Right.
And he took that matchup. I believe he had a mismatch with Thomas, and he just took it right to him. As far as Isaac, I'm not happy about the 2 injuries that went down for him, but I'm really happy for Isaac's opportunity to step up and go. Not only that his numbers proved it, but I've seen a lot of vocal leadership from him yesterday in the game, specifically with a few timeouts. He got subbed out the game, and when Indiana had called a timeout, he went right in and was being vocal. He took that leadership role that, Fournier or Gordon or even Vooch might, sometimes insert themselves with. So as far as Isaac stepping up for us the next 3-4 weeks, I'm really, really looking forward to it. Like Alvaro said, Fultz and Isaac is looking like our clear future right now.
Yeah, I agree. I think Fultz and Isaac is the future. I like how both of their games kind of can thrive without interfering in the other's game. And I'm interested to see kind of when Fultz is kind of like unleashed and what he's gonna set like for speed and pace, and how you guys said how much he's gonna push the pace, run the ball, and kind of throw up lobs for JI and AG. It's really exciting. I think this is a really fun time to be a Magic fan, and kind of interesting to see the bridge between like old Orlando and New Orlando
for sure.
So yeah, it's a really interesting time.
As Magic fans, we naturally just automatically talk about, who are the untouchables, right? To me, the untouchables are Isaac. Fultz, Isaac together. I'm gonna make it a thing. They do play really well together. And to your point, their games do complement. You know, they're able to push the ball, and Isaac is so long, so lengthy that if he gets too close to the rim, it's hard to stop him. There was a play yesterday that it kind of seems like Miles Turner almost tackled him to get him from not getting to the lane. So it's there. You can tell that a player like Isaac, he's getting a lot of attention. Markel obviously gets a majority of it with how social media is, but Isaac he's starting to really make a name for himself.
Right.
And I can see like I started to say he'll be the face of the franchise in 2 years, but man, I give it minimum a year. It's almost impossible not to.
And they're getting a lot of national attention. So Isaac, of course, had the breakout game yesterday, but he's been stat padding the whole entire season so far. And he's always featured on NBA.com, on highlights out there of his crazy blocks he's been having.
Right.
For defensive plays.
Exactly. So I think when you add that and Fultz together, you're starting to see the magic on The Jump, on Bleacher Report, which, again, we have been mentioned in the past, but not in the way that it's now. It's youth, it's future thinking, it's star player potential.
So
which we haven't had.
So I have a question. New Shaq and Penny.
Ooh.
Interesting.
If Vooch gets moved, right, and J.I. becomes our regular 5, new Shaq and Penny.
You honestly think that we'll put him at the 5 permanently?
I think so. Because he's only going to get bigger. He's not going to get smaller.
I do like him at the 3, though. I do like him at the 3-4 as well. I feel like he's able to do more. You have to spend a little bit more time.
And he's a mismatch. At the 3 and 4, it's a mismatch, which is so long. Definitely. So you got to put a guy.
It does bring versatility for us at the 5.
It makes us different. He's so good at being able to put the ball on the floor, and his length, and he utilizes the Euro step so effectively.
For his size is crazy.
Yes.
But I guess I was just thinking more so if we're gonna keep AG, and AG is in our future plans, you have to believe AG eventually is gonna be moved to the 4. He can't play the 3.
No, right.
So, I mean, what would be the other option?
But Isaac can play the 3.
Yeah, and I think what we've always known is that Gordon plays the 3 on the defensive end. On the offensive end, they really swap out. So I think that's kind of how they're doing it. But I know what you're saying, because I actually have been thinking of that for a while. Heck, playing 2K, I like to just put Isaac at the 5. Just because it creates so many crazy mismatches. The team is so fast, so fun. And you get crazy and think about an Isaac, Gordon, Aminu, or heck, Ross and Fournier, with Fultz. That's a lot of offense. That's a lot of fun.
That would be our version of the death lineup.
Exactly.
Markel Fultz, Evan Fournier, Terrence Ross, Aaron Gordon,
4
and
Isaac sitting outside the 3 with Fultz.
The issue is this, though.
It's disgusting.
We know our head coach. He is not one to try crazy things. He's not one to do anything that is not by his standards.
Slow and steady wins the race with Cliff.
So,
and I think with these injuries, he needs to break that shell.
Yeah,
he needs to try different things. I think we need to see Isaac play the 5 a little bit more.
Yeah, I think now he'll be able to do that, but it's kind of hard to keep a player like Vucevic off the floor for a long period of time.
Oh yeah, as long as Vooch is on our roster, he's gonna be our starting center. There's no way.
But not even starting, just at any point in the game. You know, because how often do you see where Vucevic is not in the game, but you still have so many key starters in the game without him?
True.
So I guess that would be the hard part for me to see, or to have Cliff make that decision to run a lineup like that during the game. Anyways, let's get to the next one. So Tracy McGrady was on The Jump, and he had some interesting things to say. So they were having a conversation about Jamal Crawford and how he hasn't been signed to a team yet. And Tracy McGrady goes on to say, I mean the Orlando Magic. We need some help down there in Orlando coming off our bench. Vooch is out. Aaron Gordon twists his ankle. We really need some firepower coming off our bench. We still have a open roster spot. Could Jamal Crawford be that guy to really help this team with scoring and shooting?
Yeah, I think during the first episode of our podcast, Jamal Crawford was one of the guys that we talked about Orlando possibly signing. I think this idea that he's too old to play is a little ridiculous. His last, and they covered it on The Jump, but his last game in the NBA, he dropped 51 points, I think. So, yeah, so I think it's a little crazy to think that he can't play. And he would be in a situation coming to Orlando where we don't need him to be this, crazy dropping 35 a night. Just somebody who can come off the bench, give us, like a instant offense, I would say, and just pick up the energy to get the other guys involved. And I think Jamal Crawford would be perfect for that.
Now, an argument can be made. Cliff was using a 10-man roster. He now is switching to a 9-man roster. You add a player like Jamal Crawford, you have to give him PT. Just the amount of veteranship that he brings, plus the ability to score, put the ball on the floor, shooting. How do you not put him in the mix? Who's going to be the man out?
That's a good question. And I'm not sure, but I would be looking at possibly DJ or MCW being moved. I mean, there's no other, what do I want to say? There's no real other option unless he extends that rotation, which then kind of cuts off the other guys. It's hard to get in a rhythm if you're playing 20 some odd minutes a night. So it will become a difficult situation, and I don't think that we bring Jamal Crawford in unless somebody is on the way out.
I don't know what the Magic's waiting for. I would love for us to bring in Crawford. I know our front office is very conservative. We don't like to make a huge splash or do anything out of the ordinary.
Yeah.
But I feel like this next month or so, would you guys agree would this be our make and break, like halfway through the season?
December is always that month that kind of gets us out of the conversation. So I think if we could finish December still in the conversation, that's a success.
Which I think is key. Like I said, you're going to see Fultz step up. You're going to see Isaac step up. We need to see Ross step up as well. But adding a guy like Jamal Crawford, I don't see it being a negative. I can only see it being a positive. It adds us another ball handler. It gives us another score. Like you said, Justin, this guy just dropped 51 last season. He's home just, chilling, Why not bring him onto a roster right now?
But where do you fit him in?
Now, when it comes to bringing Crawford in, I'm not looking at playing him 25, minutes a night. Give me at least 15 minutes.
Just a threat out there.
Just a threat. Another ball handler.
Yeah.
Yes, you're right. That would require some sacrifice minutes from Augustine. I don't mind seeing it too much from MCW. As much as he is as our defensive anchor, our primary ball handler defender, to get in a little boost, like for last night, those last 2-3 minutes, we kind of got a little shaky there on offense. A guy like Crawford would have came in and gave us a few key shots. Even when, Ross is considered our human torch. But he also, he goes on streaks where he goes a little, cold.
Yeah.
And we need that bench. We need that offensive fire coming out of our bench. So adding Crawford, to me, I don't know. I think it's a no-brainer. I want to see the front office do something a little bit out of the ordinary.
So that's the thing, though. So it's something that just makes sense, right? You think about it, it's the right move. It logically makes sense. We need a shooter, we need a scorer. However, like I said before, whether it's our coaching staff or our front office, we know they don't like to play the popular thing, right? They do what's right. And they'll play it safe. And I think the Jamal Crawford move would be kind of a splashy move, kind of like the Melo signing with Portland. Will bring attention to the Magic, and they just don't do those type of moves. Again, like I said on the first episode, I think they'll bring somebody from Europe or something before they'll sign somebody like Jamal Crawford.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. While it makes sense to all of us, I think the reality is that I don't think it'll happen.
I agree.
I think the team needs a player like that on their roster. Maybe not so much to actually get in the game, but at the very least to be a locker room guy. Last season, I really wanted us, or maybe even on this offseason, I really wanted us to pick up Vince Carter just because of his leadership that he would bring. Mm-hmm. I know how you're looking at me smiling. That the oldest player on our roster is DJ Augustine at 32 years old. DJ Augustine is the only real veteran. If you look at the definition of it, the only real one on our team, right? He's been through different teams, has had some success in the playoffs, but he's the only one talking to our guys in the locker room from that standpoint. Having a player like Jamal Crawford, I think, would really help, not necessarily just with the morale, but a player that could really talk to the young guys and also be effective on the floor if we go through any type of injury where he is needed. So now we're going to move over to our next segment, Pass or Shoot. So over this past week, Dan Favor of Bleacher Report, he came out with an article where he listed all his underachievers for every NBA team in the league. And for the Orlando Magic, he selected Terrence Ross as the Magic biggest underachiever so far. Pass or shoot?
Pass.
I'm stuck between pass and shoot, honestly.
I'm passing.
I'm shooting, and I'm gonna tell you why. My biggest thing is because we had a conversation, and most of us said, Mo Bamba should have fit that bill for us.
Right.
But Mo Bamba didn't just sign a multi-million-dollar contract with us, right, for $54,000 for the next 4 years. Terrence Ross did. So Terrence Ross had a really amazing year last season where he broke out for us. He gets his contract, and we're not getting the exact same production. So what is it that changed? Is it the players that change? Is it that he's just not finding his rhythm? Or is it that he just got his contract?
So, on the same token, though, Bamba, while he hasn't had a big contract yet, but Bamba did get picked with the 6th pick in the draft. And out of all the players around his pick range, in the teens, even the teens or 20s, he's the one performing at the lowest level. So, I get it. The money part of it, I get it. But Ross is fine. I know he got hurt in preseason. He kind of showed some flashes the last couple of games. But his shot's still not there. His percentages look really, really bad. I understand that. But Bamba looked like a beast in preseason, the first few games, right? And then I asked you the same question. What happened to him? Like, he just disappeared.
I can tell you what happened. He's a rookie. He's still learning.
Yeah.
I get what you're saying. Do I believe that Terrence Ross will eventually get it together? Yes. I honestly feel he will find a shot. But if the question's being asked, who is the most underachiever on the team, I'm going with Terrence Ross because he got the big contract. He's a veteran. He knows what's expected of him. He's our key role player. He's supposed to be our 6th man, and he's just not producing.
But I think also if you add to that now, Bamba should be the starter right now, right? So Bamba should be the one starting instead of Birch, who should be the backup right now.
But do you feel comfortable with Mo Bamba as your starter?
That's what I'm saying. If he was performing at the level that he's supposed to be,
That was the
he should be.
expectation, right?
Exactly, he should be. He should be that next Vucevic, right? That next guy that's in line to be Vucevic in the near future.
I think you guys are forgetting something. Mo Bamba was in a conversation, right, when the season was over.
Yeah.
If we were supposed to let Vooch walk, and Mo Bamba was supposed to be our future starting center.
And a lot of Magic fans were upset when we brought back Vooch.
Right.
Yeah.
So I think by that qualifier, Mo Bamba is the biggest underachiever.
He only played 30+ games last season.
And that's fine. But we're talking about when you measure underachiever, right? You measure expectation from reality. The expectation was that Mo Bamba was going to be good enough, that his ceiling was high enough, and that his current standing was good enough to where we could let Vooch walk. If you're telling me that you feel comfortable enough with a guy who at the time possibly played under 25 games, and you felt comfortable enough with him at that moment to be the future center of your team, then your expectations for that guy were really high. And Mo Bamba now is averaging under what I could look this up, but under I think 8 points a game. He's literally non-existent on defense, right? And on offensive schemes, it seems like he's shooting 3-pointers because he doesn't know how to play in the paint. That's underachieving. Terrence Ross, in my opinion, had an outlier of a season last year. Nothing in Terrence Ross's history kind of pointed to the fact that he was going to be a 6th man and he was going to be successful at that role, but it happened. He didn't win 6th man of the year last year, but he was successful at that role, and he was a guy that contributed in a major role to us having a playoff appearance last season. But you can't take a guy who has never been in conversations for the 6th man, right, and has never averaged more than, with the exception of last year, 15 points per season. He's averaging maybe around 11, 12 points per game. You can't expect that guy to become something greater than what he is overnight, even if he signed a multi-million-dollar deal. A lot of that money that was offered to him was kind of based in the fact that the fan base in Orlando kind of fell in love with Terrence Ross, and ownership realized that for the culture of Orlando Magic basketball and to inspire fans to be engaged with the team, Terrence Ross was important.
Now, if you guys really want to dig deep into if it's either Ross or Bamba, and I want everybody to get a little take into this, is there anything positive right now that Bamba's doing for this team? Anything positive?
I honestly blame it on Shaq. Shaq is the reason why Mo Bamba's playing so damn bad. If it wasn't for that little wager he did for college football that forced him to cut his head, I think he would have been all right.
It was LSU versus Texas.
Exactly, and that was exactly it. So don't put too much weight on Mo Bamba.
So look at this, right? So dictionary definition, right? So it says an underachiever is a person who fails to achieve his or her potential or does not do as well as expected. That is Mo Bamba. That is Mo Bamba. If we think about the conversation, like I said, of him possibly leading this team as our starting center, and his fall from like grace, one season later, 12 games, 13 games into the season, this guy is producing zero. And I know there's going to be a lot of people that are going to say we're being hard on Mo Bamba. We're not being realistic in his development. Nah. I think that. And this is probably going to be a hot take, but I think the people that are defending Mo Bamba's stance on the Orlando Magic at this point in time are being unrealistic. And what's going to happen, I was having a conversation with my father about this last night during the Magic and Pacers game, is that we're gonna continue to allow Mo Bamba to play on our team, right, in an NBA game, and he's going to continue to look bad. And what it's going to do is going to hurt his stock moving forward. Right, it's gonna make it so other teams are no longer interested in like this hype surrounded around Mo Bamba. So the way, and I brought this up last episode, the way that you kind of curve that and allow Mo Bamba to continually thrive is to allow him to play in the G League, develop his skills, bring him back, and kind of reinvent his personality, or not his personality, but his image around the league. So in my opinion, Mo Bamba is our biggest underachiever, not Terrence Ross.
I still think that Mo Bamba's just he's barely played, and on top of that, he's on a minutes restriction, so he's still kind of nursing an injury, right? He could either be playing through it or not be. We don't fully know the scope of it,
right?
But he's being restricted to play, so he's barely played less than 45 games, 50 games max. If they would have said the same thing about Markelle Fultz, then we wouldn't be getting the outcome that we're getting with them now.
But I think
go ahead.
I think the biggest issue is I don't think we're even looking at his numbers. I think is the effort. We can clearly see a difference when Birch is in the game and Bama's in the game. You can clearly see.
Yeah, and look at Birch yesterday. Birch didn't play well against Indiana. His first real start, right? Mm-hmm. But one thing you cannot deny about that guy is he's going to give you hustle and heart in every play. And I think that you can't teach, right? Mm-hmm. So Mo right now, what I'm saying is, from a disappointing standpoint, it's not just the numbers. The numbers are whatever. Like, we can live with that. He's a rookie. He's still learning. I get that. That 100%. But look at Markelle Fultz, too. He missed 3 years. Really a bad injury. He couldn't even shoot. And he's out there busting his ass, man. He's out there hustling, throwing himself on the floor, per plays. So what I'm saying is that. So disappointing, it's not numbers. What I'm saying, he's the biggest disappointment. I think it's just the overall look. He's on the court, and I tell you, man, like, I go to games, people just look puzzled when he just cannot grab a ball. He cannot grab a rebound. A 5-foot player doing layups over him. I just don't get it, man.
Yeah, but we drafted Mo Bamba knowing that he was going to be a project. We gave Terrence Ross a contract to know what we were getting in return. And I'm not saying Mo Bamba's playing good. I'm not saying he's playing well. I'm not saying any of that. I'm just saying between the two, if I had to choose, because we gave him a long-term contract, Terrence Ross, that for me, he's our most underachiever.
Well, and we're probably gonna end the segment on this, or the topic of Mo Bamba. But I have one last point, and that's that when he was drafted, right? We all, like you said, knew he was a project. We understood that this was going to be something that took time. But one thing that you can control 100% of is effort. It doesn't matter if your skill set is not there. You have the intangibles, you're long, all of these things. And you're shooting and, your defense is going to pick up with time. We understand that. But your effort you can control. And Mo Bamba's effort is in question. And he has not done anything to kind of put those questions to rest. And as long as he continues to slack off and be disengaged in the offense and defense, those questions are continually going to be there. And you have to believe that if we're asking those questions as fans, other front offices have been asking those questions because those guys overanalyze every aspect of every player's game. So Mo Bamba's stock around the league, I'm pretty sure is quite low at this time.
All right, so let's get to the next one. FIBA Fournier, is he here to stay?
Oh, Justin, you got to start off with that one, man.
Hell yeah,
You
he's
gotta
here to
start off
stay,
with that
man.
And passing, man.
There's
And
man,
passing, man.
and
You're
I know,
passing that?
I know,
Passing.
I know, and obviously I'm gonna shoot, but and we talk about Evan quite often on this podcast, but FIBA Fournier is real, the hype is real, and he's gonna
It's real internationally. I'm not saying that it's not real. It's there. It's just not here in Orlando.
It's here because I'm sitting right in front of you. Evan Fournier is that guy. I think Evan.
He has his moments.
Okay.
He has his moments. The issue is that it's not consistent.
Mm-hmm.
We've seen it. We've seen flashes of it in consistently in the beginning of our season. But man, there was a moment yesterday when we were watching the game, and I sent the text. I'm like, "Whatever you do not trade Evan Fournier." Literally, a play after I said, "I'll take that back, man. I'll take it back." Never mind. You almost had me, Justin.
You were right when you said what you said.
When I said I was just kidding.
No.
When I said I take it back.
No, Evan is one of those guys that is going to give you passion, is going to give you effort, is not going to hide how he feels when he's on the court, is going to be vocal, is going to try to get other guys involved, is going to take big shots whenever the big shot is needed. Every quality that you look for in a player, right, to build a franchise around. And I'm not saying that Evan is that guy that you build a franchise around, but I'm saying he has most of those qualities. Consistency is his issue, but you cannot tell me he's shown that he's capable of dropping 20 plus points per game, right? You can't tell me that if Evan consistently came through and dropped 20, 23, 25, 26 with 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 assists per game, that's the best player on most teams in the NBA.
So, like you mentioned, that is true, but we don't see that every night. I'm going to pass big time on that one. I like Fournier. He's a competitive player. We know that. He's our best clutch player. We talked about that last week in our episode from last week. However, the issue with him that I have is he doesn't have the highest IQ, man. Like last night, as Anthony mentioned, there were moments where we're like, oh my God, this guy's here. Oh my God, keep feeding him. But then there's those moments when he just doesn't look like himself and he just makes some dumb decisions. Whether it's some random shots that he has no business taking, with the shot clock still at 20 seconds. I'm just not a fan of the IQ piece of Fournier. Whereas I feel like in FIBA ball, he plays pretty organized. He knows what he's doing. He's clutch. He's smooth. And with the Magic, I don't see that for whatever reason. So he is playing amazing. Don't get me wrong. He is balling right now. He's leading our team in scoring the last few weeks. He's doing really well. But for me, I don't see it happening long term. Now, don't forget, too, this is a contract year technically for him. Mm-hmm. He can opt out. And I'm pretty sure wants to get another 5-year deal, 4-year deal. So that same thing about Terrence Ross we talked about, you can apply it to Fournier this year. And hopefully, I don't know about you guys, hopefully we don't make the mistake of signing him for $100 million 5 years again. Like
I don't think that would be a mistake. Evan, listen,
dude.
Listen. If we're saying,
and we got to be talking about based off this season. If we're talking about this season,
right?
He's playing well.
But the question is, no, go ahead. I'm gonna say this, and then I'm gonna give it to Justin. The question is, the question isn't, is he a good player now? Is he here to stay? The whole entire 82 games last season, he played terrible.
Okay.
We're asking, is FIBA Fournier, what he was able to do internationally, is he able to do it over a span of 82 games for us? He's averaging 17 points per game for the last 10 games. Mm-hmm. Is he able to do that the whole entire season?
No.
I think so. When we look at his stats so far this season, right? And I'm going to have to go back here. But he's averaging 17.7 points per game, right? 3.5 assists per game. And let me see. But he's shooting 44.7% from the three-point line, 48.5% from the field, right? Statistically, the best scorer on our team. He's leading the Orlando Magic in points. He's leading the Orlando Magic in field goal percentage. He's leading the Orlando Magic in three-point percentage. He's also towards the top 5 players in assist on our team, right? His turnover numbers are some of the
Keep it going.
lowest.
This guy came with
Hold on.
a,
Are some of the
this guy
lowest?
came with a bag today.
Are some of the
Fournier
lowest on the?
comments.
Are some of the lowest on the team as well? So it's like, what else? What else do you need Evan to do to prove that maybe he's 9 years in his prime? Maybe he's in his prime, and for the next 3, 4, 5 seasons, this is the Evan you're gonna get.
All right, so just so that I understand the scope of what I'm dealing with, right? Because obviously I know that you're an Evan Fournier fan. If you had the power to go back in time, you are Rob Hennigan, you're making a decision.
Okay.
Do you still make the decision to trade Victor Oladipo over Evan Fournier?
Do I still make the decision? Yes.
Oh man! All right, guys.
Yes.
So next topic.
No, but I'm gonna tell you why. Wait. I'm gonna tell you why. The reason why I would still make that decision is because you can only make decisions based on what you see at the moment. Anybody could look at decisions 3, 4 years down the line and say, "Oh wow, that decision sucked."
Different take, yeah.
But in the moment, I would have made that decision. Victor Oladipo, you're looking at Victor Oladipo as a post OKC player. The player that Oladipo is now, or was before his injury, and who he was when he was traded from Orlando are two entirely different players. His activity is different. His drive is different. His all-around game is different. Like, I don't know. It's just
Didn't we
it's,
give up on him too soon?
He was your second
Yeah.
pick in the draft.
Yeah, we did.
He was your as a general manager. He's your first pick, your staple of what you're doing for this franchise, and you traded him for a Domantas Sabonis that played really well against us last night, for a Serge Ibaka that turned into Terrence Ross.
Okay, but
And if
we
Gordon
never.
stuck around this long, why couldn't Oladipo?
I agree with
So
that.
my thing
That's
is
a
this.
really
So
good take.
what was the question? The question is, if FIBA Fournier here to stay, right? My thing is, it's shown up for 2 weeks, but what has it been for the last 6, 7 years?
Yeah, he dropped 26 points last night. He played really well.
Oh,
can he
and
do
Wait,
that?
That's
but this
true.
is the double-edged argument that I don't understand from Magic fans, right? So what has he done? You said for the last 6, 7 years, right?
Yeah.
But Aaron Gordon has been in the league for 6 years, and the criticism for AG isn't the same.
Yeah,
and AG has never produced at the level that Evan is producing.
It's different. How old is Fournier? How old is Gordon? And not only that, but
Fournier is 27 years old.
okay.
Fournier has also. Fournier is another player that we've seen. He's not going to get better. His potential is there. You see what you know what you have with him. With Aaron Gordon, you're still trying to find out. You're gonna tell me that there's still a chance for Evan Fournier to be way better than what he is.
Are we not? Wait, are we not seeing it? Is that not what we're seeing right now?
It's one game, Justin.
It's not one
week.
game.
It's
It's about
yesterday.
2 weeks. It's about 7 games.
My thing is,
And
this,
we
man.
played 12 games so far in the season. I say wait until All-Star break, see what Evan's All-Star voting numbers are, and then we can have this conversation
All-Star.
again.
See, who?
He mentioned All-Star and Fournier in the same sentence.
No, man.
Oh, you're
So,
talking about the skills challenge.
my thing is this. Like I said earlier, contract year, red lights flashing everywhere. Again, if you guys were accusing Ross of playing well last year for his contract, do the same thing with Fournier this year. Again, I like him as a player. He adds a skill that we need, shooting. But last year he shot low 30% from 3-point range. Well, that's all you can do. Be a shooter. Again, I'm not buying the fact that he is here to stay. He's here temporarily. Because once Vucevic comes back, Isaac continues to develop, he won't shoot that many shots anymore. So that's another factor to consider.
All right, so jumping into our next segment, get off your chest. This one comes from Ocasión_25 on Instagram, where he says, Magic should have hired Mark Jackson or Monty Williams. Orlando can never get a good defensive coach and offensive coach. It's always either one or the other. And to show evidence of that, Lachlan Sensei on Instagram also said, I don't know why Clifford started at Wundu over Chief. I can kind of understand Birch over Bamba, but starting West over Ross and Chief made no sense. How you guys feeling?
I agree with both of them, honestly. I don't necessarily want to say that we should have hired a coach outside of Steve Clifford. Because Steve Clifford has undoubtedly changed the culture in Orlando, and he's made losing, for the most part, like as a season as a season result, unacceptable. So I think that goes a long way. He's changed the way guys, kind of go into game to game, and he's made it more of a professional atmosphere. And I think that goes a long way. But I think Clifford is showing Clifford is showing that what he's best suited for is probably an assistant coach role, just because of how committed he is to the defense. It feels like in the league today, it's all about offense, and you can try to be the best defensive team in the league. We're top 5 now. I think we're 3 in defensive rating. But you're seeing that if you can't put up the points, if you don't set the pace, if you don't have shooters, you're not gonna win. It's not a sustainable system.
So are we blaming Clifford or the management for giving the personnel for that? Because that can go down on personnel as well if we're not putting up points.
Is Clifford really that bad of a hire?
No, not at all.
Is he really? Do we see
We went
that
from not making the playoffs to making the playoffs out of nowhere. I
Like-
think that's a huge
like last season we weren't expecting playoffs, period. We
At
were still
all.
talking draft.
Right.
So is
That is there.
it that is starting off so bad, or is it that he's still trying to figure out the dynamics? He has about 3 players on his roster with minutes restrictions. Is it really that he doesn't want to play Markelle Fultz for more than 25 minutes a game? Is it that he really doesn't want to play Mo Bamba for an X amount of time so that he's able to get some reps in and get some consistency under his feet? I don't see that as Clifford. I really don't. I don't see that he's the issue.
I think we have to be patient with this, only because now he has a healthy Mo Bamba now. He has a different point guard that's totally a different caliber player than Augustine is. He's still trying to insert him in, along with, like you said, it probably is a minute restricting with Fultz. I'm not sure if that's a coach decision or if that's a front office decision. As far as Clifford, I mean, I'm a big fan of Clifford. Yes, when it comes down to the games, specifically last night as well with that inbounding play, which was kind of a little funny how that finished off. I'm happy with Clifford. He's changed this whole dynamic of the team. He has us playing like we're hungry, especially the defensive end. I know we have our questions about offense, but like I told Justin, that can also be a personnel thing. Do we have enough weapons to be putting up that many points? I know we have an all-star Vucevic, that consistently gives us points. I know we have Fournier, who consistently gives us points, but I wouldn't put all the blame on Clifford. I still believe this is an adjustment for him, having a brand new point guard, having a center, who's technically still a rookie, but at the same time on a minute restriction. So for me, it would be too early to judge if it was a good hire or not. But I'm still rolling on the Clifford.
So I agree with all of the points that you and Ant made. But what I'm struggling with Clifford is the decision making down the stretch. I think there's been various games that we probably could have won in the last minute or two that we didn't, because either timeouts weren't used properly, the players on the floor were questionable at the time, who plays were drawn up for were questionable, and those are all things that Steve Clifford is fully in charge of. So to completely absolve Clifford from any kind of blame and just say, oh no, he's good, he's gonna be our guy, he's led us this far. It's like, yeah, he did lead us this far, and we're appreciative, we're grateful for that as fans. But at the same time, you have to look for what is the best for the team and the team's success in the future. And I'm not sure that Clifford is it.
So I think he was the right hire at the time. He was the best option available to us. He's got roots in Orlando from the Van Gundy days, so I think that was good. He's bringing back that mentality of, hey, last time we won, I was here, and I know how we did it. So I like that. What I don't like is the forcing, not only by Clifford, but our team in general. I think we're trying to force defense to be our thing. And that started when we started drafting Oladipo back then, and Gordon and Peyton. So it also goes back to the Hennigan days. I don't know if it's a executive decision or they want to be a defensive team, but I don't think that it's to blame Clifford. I just don't know why that's a thing in Orlando. Like, it's just defense only. We've had the chance to draft better offensive players, and we don't. We keep going for these long guys, athletic guys that can defend. But he is the right coach, like I said, just based on the culture factor alone. Now, what I am not a fan of, and I've been very vocal about this in the podcast, is his rotations, his inability to adapt to what's going on the court, his inability to adapt to trying new things. Like right now, no Vucevic, no Gordon. Try something new. Star Aminos. Put Ross out there more minutes with them together. Get creative with your team.
Have Mo Bamba earn his minutes.
Yeah, like we don't have the players that can score a lot. We know that, but we can get creative how we can get offense. And we've seen it happen with Fultz out there with Isaac. they just get going on the fast break because they get steals and blocks. So add players to that rotation, to that lineup that can
Switch the
expand.
pace.
Yeah. So that's my only thing with Clifford. As far as the rotations piece, we know that's an ongoing issue. We talked about it in depth last week.
And the
think
week
he'll find
before,
his
too.
niche.
And the week before that too. So
I think that it doesn't matter what head coach we have running the team. No coach is perfect. We're not going to say great things about every single coach. It's one of those things where we're gonna call them out when we see things that we don't agree with. But really, if you remove Steve Clifford, who else is out there? Like, who would you really want to run this team? Our past 4 coaches have been terrible. After Stan Van Gundy, you had Jacques Vaughn. You had James Borrego, that was on his assistant coach, that coached for 30 games. You had Scott Skiles, Frank Vogel, and now Steve Clifford, the only one to really do something with the players that we have. So could Coach Clifford be better? Sure. Do we agree with his rotations? No. But do I think that playoffs is out of reach? I don't think so. It's still there.
Still very early.
Last season, everyone we were playing extremely well, but it wasn't until after the All-Star break. So is Coach Clifford really the problem? I don't think so.
no.
I think, and this is partly gonna go somewhat against what I said originally, but I think Clifford is also a victim of expectations. I think so many of us expected Orlando to come out of the gate just like blazing, like win after win after win, and that hasn't been the case. And because we've been losing a lot of close games, it's easy to kind of be like, all right, well, something has to change, because if you lose enough close games, you're out of the playoff picture. And, you know, it's easy to put the blame on Clifford when, like Al said, his rotations are an issue and he's not really reactive to what's happening. He sticks to his guns and whatever he thought was going to happen before a game as far as who's going to play what and how things are going to play out, he sticks to. So it's a situation that as long as he doesn't make changes in game to reflect what's happening on the court, the criticism for him is going to continue.
I just think that you're coaching for a minute, right? You know that Markelle Fultz on the floor is just way more effective than DJ Augustine. Like you just know that the pace is better, the flow is better, passing is better, being able to run is better, executing to the rim is a lot better. Everyone knows it. But if it's really the fact that there is a minute restriction on Markelle Fultz, what more is he to do? What more can he do? If the people above him saying you can only play Markelle Fultz for 25 minutes, that's it. If the game's coming close to the end and he can't put him in because he's already surpassed his minutes, what more can he do? He can't do anything else.
We don't know. We can only judge by what we see.
Yeah.
But that's why it's so much
Assuming,
easier to blame Clifford.
Yeah.
Now, in terms of anyone outside of the minute restrictions, I agree with. But I just think that there's a very special case for Markelle. Because to me, Markelle and Jonathan Isaac are going to be the two major factors for the legacy, if you will, for the front office that we have.
And I think with these injuries with Vooch and AG out this next month or so, I think this is time for Clifford to step out of his comfort zone.
Yeah.
And try different things. And I wish the front office can just let, Isaac and Fultz just really play their minutes. Because right now, this month is very delicate for us.
Yeah, knowing the Magic, that's always either a number in mind, a date in mind before they do anything. I think that number for the Magic might be December 15th-ish before they say to Fultz, go out there and play. You know how they are. They're just kind of developing him, seeing how he does. We saw 28 minutes, 29 minutes last night. So we're getting to the point where we're seeing a little more minutes coming out. So hopefully we'll see that continue.
All right, so let's start to wrap this thing up. So the week ahead, we have 4 games coming up. Monday against Detroit, Wednesday against Cleveland, Friday versus Toronto, and then Sunday versus Golden State. We collectively agreed that next week, the game of the week is going to be for Monday, Detroit, where we've been keeping track of the wins and losses, and then whoever ends up having the most losses for, was it the whole month that we said it?
Right.
For the whole month, we're going to have them do something disastrous.
And you guys on Twitter and Instagram will be deciding that as well for us. So, like I said before, do not keep it easy on us.
Yeah, last week me and Justin, we held it down. We called that the Magic we're going to lose against Toronto. We got that right. So let's see what we got for this week. So Monday against Detroit. I'm putting down a W.
I'm taking the L. There's no Vooch. I see
Wait,
a lot
you're
of
taking
foul
an L or you giving an L? Because you took an L week 1. So
I'm gonna take an L. I have an L against Detroit. I see Mo Bamba and Ken Burch getting into some foul trouble against those bigs down there.
I'm 50-50. I'm really having a tough time here. I personally want to see a win. I think we need a win to kind of get things in order, especially before we go to Cleveland. I want to see a win, so I'm going to stick to that. I'm going to say we win tomorrow. Isaac puts up good numbers again. FIBA Fournier shows up again. So I think we win tomorrow. I'm going to stick with that.
yeah, I'm with Al this week. I think Orlando pulls it out
Without Vooch?
against Detroit without Vooch.
Against Drummond and Griffin?
Yeah, because I think if the guys play with the pace that they played against the Pacers, I think that might be troublesome for Detroit. And I don't know. I think Birch is gonna give Drummond a little bit of a tougher matchup. Because Birch is a lot more physical than Vooch is. Typically, when Drummond and Vooch kind of match up, Drummond has his way with Vooch, and that's just based on the play style of Vooch. But I think Birch is going to be a lot more physical. He's not going to be afraid to kind of throw elbows in there and fight for rebounds and things. So I don't think Drummond is going to have as big of a game. And I think our guys, if they set the pace that they set against the Pacers, I think that'll push us over the edge against Detroit.
I think it's going to be a fun game to watch. They're another team that's expected to fight for the 7th, 8th seed, more or less. I'm actually looking forward to see Derrick Rose play. I've been a fan in the past, so just to see that he's been doing so well, I'm curious to see, how he does against us, and then how Markelle Fultz reacts. Jonathan Isaac, I'm expecting a big game to see if maybe the consistency transfers over in the absence of the Aaron Gordon and the Vucevic, and let's see if FIBA Fournier is a real thing. All right, so let's close it out. Final thoughts.
Final thoughts. I just want to see us win 3 games this week. I know it's going to be tough, but we do play 2 teams that we can easily beat, which is Cleveland and Golden State. So if we can steal one of Detroit or Toronto game, that can make a big difference in our record. So I'm hoping that Gordon is back maybe Wednesday against Cleveland, and that gives us a little boost coming back home against Toronto and Golden State. But that's my final thought. I just want to see us win 3 games this week.
For me, I just brought it up, but I want to see the pace. I want to see what these guys can do when you don't have, kind of the half-court game of Vucevic slowing things down. I want to see how fast they can get out there, how the ball moves when their pace improves. Those are all things that I think can make the difference, especially against teams like Detroit and Cleveland. Toronto plays fast as well. So I'm excited. I think this could be a defining week for us.
I actually agree with you, Justin. I am curious to see where our pace is going to take us this month or this week. I'm very intrigued to see if Jonathan Isaac can keep this going. He's on the streak where he's just scoring on the run right now. If we do find ourselves in a close game in one of these 4 games, I would like to see Clifford drop a few plays for Isaac at the end of the game. I do see him as a one-on-one player. He's worked with Tracy McGrady over summer a little bit. You see glimpses of it. You saw of it last night. I want to see a few plays drawn for him at the end of the game.
And for me, I'm consistency in the shooting. Last night's game was against 2 big parts of our offense that were missing. So the fact that we were still able to shoot really well and score over 100 points was something that I honestly didn't see happening. It was only by 6 points, but we were still able to do that. So just to see it again happening on Monday against Detroit is something to look for. And then the consistency with Jonathan Isaac. If we really see him as the face of the Magic, it's a perfect opportunity with your all-star center.
I agree.
Out of the mix. On that note, that's a wrap for us. Peace.
Deuces.
See y'all later. Thank you for listening to the OZone Podcast, the voice of Magic fans.
Be sure to visit our website, theozonepod.com, and remember to subscribe, rate, and leave a review on all your favorite podcast listening platforms.